Why do some dogs insist on sleeping glued to you, while others choose to lie right at your feet? Some might even be sound asleep beside you, only to quietly slip away to another corner of the room in the middle of the night. And is bed hogging or patrolling before lying down just a habit, or does it reflect something deeper going on in their minds? From a behavioral science perspective, none of these habits are random. They're actually how your dogs reveal their true feeling and how much they trust you. So what does last night's sleeping spot really say about your bond? The answer lies deep in the instincts of their ancestors, wolves. Dogs are pack animals by nature, and for them, being separated from the pack means danger, even death. That's why they always want to squeeze into tight spots right next to you, even when you find yourself wondering if they're getting too hot. Warmth and mutual protection. In the wild, the cold of night and the threat of predators are constant dangers. That's why pack members huddle together, relying on each other to share body heat and stay warm. On top of that, when their bodies touch, all it takes is one member sensing something off and moving for the whole pack to wake up instantly. In your home, you're the pack leader and their safest anchor point. Their attempts to squeeze onto your bed are really a survival instinct. Being next to you is the safest place to fully let their guard down. Back to back, absolute trust. For dogs, their back is their biggest vulnerability, since it's outside their field of vision. In the wild, turning your back on someone you don't trust simply never happens. If your dog frequently turns its butt or back toward you while sleeping close by, that's a sign they trust you 100%, willing to expose their most vulnerable side. Don't think of a dog turning its butt towards your face as rude. It's actually their highest expression of respect and trust. Warmth, mutual protection, absolute trust sounds like enough reasons already, right? But with a walking fur blanket and 104-degree summer weather, the warmth explanation starts to sound pretty silly. The truth is, sleeping close to you also comes with psychological rewards, thanks to neurotransmitters in the brain. Studies have shown that when dogs and humans make physical contact or look into each other's eyes, both of their brains release a hormone called oxytocin. It's also known as the happiness hormone or the cuddle hormone, and it comes with some amazing effects. Reduces stress, suppresses cortisol, the hormone behind anxiety and fear, stabilizes blood pressure, helps relax the mind and body, steadying heart rate in the process, strengthens the bond, deepens affection and closeness between the two of you. In 2015, Japanese scientists measured oxytocin levels in both owners and dogs before and after 30 minutes of interaction. The result? Pairs with closer bonding, including eye contact and physical touch, showed a sharp spike in oxytocin in both of them at the same time, creating a two-way bonding loop. What's remarkable is that this effect didn't show up in wolves, suggesting it's a biological mechanism that evolved specifically between dogs and humans. This mechanism closely resembles what happens between a mother and her newborn. When your dog is sleeping soundly in your lap or at your feet, their brain is flooded with happiness. At the same time, that closeness is also scientifically proven to help reduce your own stress. Closeness is one code of connection, but your dog also recognizes you through other codes, quieter ones through scent, and through the familiar rhythms of your own body. Have you ever caught your dog sleeping on a shirt you just took off, or curled up on a pile of old clothes whenever you're away? Humans recognize the people we love by their faces. Dogs recognize their home by scent. A dog's sense of smell is one of the most sophisticated sensory systems in the animal kingdom. According to a scientific review published in the journal Animals in 2022, a dog's olfactory epithelium contains about 300 million scent receptors, compared to only about 5 to 6 million in humans. More than 30% of a dog's nasal cavity is dedicated to scent analysis, and with every sniff, a portion of the airflow is routed specifically to the olfactory region to capture and analyze scent molecules more effectively. With a scent analyzer that sophisticated, your smell isn't just a familiar scent to your dog. It's a signal that says, everything's fine, I'm exactly where I'm safe. That's why, whether they're sleeping right next to you or simply lying on a shirt that still carries your scent, Many dogs find it easier to relax and drift off to sleep, a heartbeat that recalls the feeling of being protected. As young puppies, dogs usually sleep huddled up against their mother and littermates. The warmth, breathing, and steady rhythms of their mother's body were the first signals telling them they were safe and protected. That may be why so many dogs love pressing up against their owner while sleeping, where they can feel your warmth, your breathing, or your heartbeat. One of our viewers once shared that her dog loved sleeping next to a clock with a steady ticking sound. She believes that sound reminds her dog of the peaceful feeling of lying next to its mother. That's an interesting theory. There's currently no scientific research proving that dogs actually associate ticking sounds with their mother's heartbeat. That said, we do know that steady sounds and rhythms tend to bring a sense of stability to animals, especially when paired with scent and the presence of someone they completely trust. Since they can't talk, dogs use the exact spot they choose on the bed to send psychological signals. Sleeping right by your face or on your pillow? These are dogs that love being adored to the fullest. They want to breathe in your scent and your breath at the closest distance possible. Sleeping pressed against your belly or back, maximum sense of security. They see you as a parent or a trusted teammate, seeking that feeling of being wrapped in safety. Sleeping at your feet or between your legs. This position points to a dog with a strong, independent streak. They want to stay connected while still being ready to get up and move when needed. Sleeping at the foot of the bed, close to the exit, also lets them react fastest to any strange noise, as if they're quietly keeping watch over you. Sleeping completely on top of you. A signal of possessiveness or an overly intense level of attachment, wanting to close every last bit of physical distance between the two of you. And if your dog has ever quietly slipped away to another corner of the room in the middle of the night, don't worry, it's not because they've fallen out of love with you. Dogs have a higher body temperature than humans, around 100 to 102 degrees Fahrenheit. After pressing up against you to recharge on that sense of security and trigger a rush of oxytocin, their bodies start to overheat. Sneaking off to a corner of the room or a cool patch of floor is simply a natural biological mechanism to cool down. And what about patrolling before lying down? That's not just a habit, it's an instinct to check territorial boundaries left over from their wild days, making sure no threats are lurking nearby before they let their guard down. Some dogs even scratch at the mattress before lying down, which is actually a leftover nesting instinct from their wild ancestors they're leaving behind scent from the sweat glands in their paws, turning your bed into their own absolute safe zone. And what about dogs that hog the bed, stretching out to their full length and pushing you to the edge? Don't be so quick to blame them for taking up space. A dog that feels completely safe doesn't need to keep its guard up. They stretch out, expose their belly, and take up as much room as possible, simply because there's nothing to be on guard against. By contrast, a dog that's anxious or unfamiliar with a new place tends to curl up tightly instead. So the more your dog sprawls out on the bed, the more they're telling you this is the place where they feel most at ease. The moment your dog quietly comes over and curls up right next to you to sleep is one of the happiest moments any pet owner can experience. Every spot they choose isn't just a physical resting place, it's their way of connecting with you. Tonight, if your dog comes looking for you and snuggles up close again, take a few seconds to soak in that warmth. That's the most sincere, silent goodnight they could ever give you. A higher body temperature is just one of the reasons dogs slip away in the middle of the night. If you want to know the full list of reasons, our video, Why Does Your Dog Move to Another Room at Night, breaks it down in more detail. So, where did your dog choose to sleep last night? Share it in the comments below.